Okay. Hi everyone, welcome to Paul's Social Weekly Podcast. And today we have a very special member. Her name is Sophie Epsley, who is the development manager at Access Sports. And she has MSc in Sports Management, and she has been working with Access Sports for over 11 years too. So tell me, Sophie, how has been yourself? How are you? Tell us about yourself, your passion for sports, and your new relationship with Paul Social.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm really good. Thank you. Yeah, as you mentioned, I'm a development manager at Access Sport. So I work on our Changing Places program in London. Our Changing Places program is a place-based multi-sport offer, and Access Sport is a national sports inclusion charity, and we ensure that nobody's excluded from community sport. So we do that by training, equipping, and supporting community sports clubs and volunteers so that they can deliver meaningful and sustainable activities. I've always loved sport. I'm a very, very big tennis fan. I love to play, I love to watch tennis, but I follow quite a few other sports as well. And I've always just wanted to ensure that everyone can access activity. So we've partnered with Pulse Social, which is super exciting because we're going to be together delivering a pan-disability inclusive multi-sport session for disabled young people in Bromley.
That's so interesting what you have with Paul Social now that you are joining with the pan disability. So can you tell us how your experience has been with working with disability sport and generally the disability sector? How has it been?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, I love what I do. I love seeing the impact of our work on young people and their families. Disabled people are half as likely to be active as non-disabled people, for a varying amount of different reasons. That could be based on a lack of accessible opportunities. It could be the cost of an activity. It could be that the opportunities are not truly inclusive, and the coaches and volunteers may just not have that awareness about how best to support that individual and that person's needs. There are so many of us working hard to ensure that we work together to support disabled people. We upskill the sector, so there's more sport and physical activity, and there's just a variety of different opportunities. So some really, really great work happening across the sector. But I mean, we work really closely with our participants and the families, and they tell us how much this means to them. So yeah, it's a really great place to be, and it's really fantastic just working with so many different families and so many different groups as well.
You guys are making the community a great place. Communities like All Social and Access Sports, they're making a great change in the society. We really appreciate what you guys do. But it's not all communities that do that. So what can you do to encourage inclusion of the disabled community in terms of sports activities and the society at large?
Yeah, I think this is a really good question. So there needs to be more awareness of disability and the challenges disabled people face. We need to keep educating people so that they understand these barriers and ensure that they create inclusive environments. Negative experiences are one of the biggest things that put people off from re-attending a session. So if somebody's been to a session and they've not had a great time, or it's not been very welcoming, it's unlikely that they're going to return, and that they then perceive that sport or that activity as not for them. So, it's really about that kind of education piece. Access Sport deliver an disability inclusion training that, teaches all groups and organisations about the different things disabled people may experience, and we deliver that training to the coaches and the volunteers themselves, but we've delivered it to the wider committee members, other members of the club as well. So it's really about kind of educating everybody. We want to ensure that people's needs are met, but they're also treated as individuals. That's really, really important. And coaches adapt their sessions to that person's needs. So, seeing someone beyond the disability, like seeing them for who the person that they are, and adapting like their session to that person's needs and their wants. And also we really want to continue to create integration, so where disabled and non-disabled people can participate together. That's another way of encouraging inclusion.
That's good. I've also seen that Access Sport has partnered with various programs to transform disability in inclusion. And how has your organization been able to cope with opening another branch in another organization, like the marketing concepts used to support the new program? Because Paul is opening a new program now in Bromley. So what are the marketing concepts we can use to support the new program?
Yeah, so we received funding earlier this year to expand our Changing Places program into 3 new boroughs in London. So we were already delivering this model in Southwark, Greenwich, and Lewisham. It's been working amazingly well, where we've been connecting all different groups together and supporting clubs to deliver more inclusive activities. So we know that we can replicate that model across different areas. And so we spent time building relationships and connections with lots of different community groups, with lots of different organisations, with the families and the young people themselves. And that's been a really useful way of exploring new opportunities to establish, and also like seeing where there's a gap in maybe inclusive provision that doesn't take place. We did some webinars, we hosted some webinars at the start of the year, so we could meet and greet like loads of different groups and introduce who we are and what we do, and really set the ground running, but also just make sure that like people know that we really want to work together with them, we want to collaborate. But we were able to like answer any questions from groups and really kind of see what was really happening in the borough as well. So we've really enjoyed listening to the work that everyone's doing.
Okay. And if I may ask, how did you encourage people, partners, and programs to use your services and attend your events and activities?
Yeah, so like as I said, like we hosted webinars across our boroughs of Bexley, Bromley, and Croydon, and we spent time meeting new groups as well. So we went out and went to various different organisations to go and meet with them. We've also been introduced to different organisations via different contacts, which has really, really helped. For some of our new activities, so we've got like a paddle tennis session for disabled young people in Bromley. We were also able to offer like free sessions to a local SEN school as well. So that's been a really great way of just like promoting what's happening and getting people to try different sports.
Oh, that's actually interesting. And how does Access Sports as a disability sports program train and encourage an inclusive environment?
Yeah, so the clubs and volunteers we work with adapt their sessions to meet everyone's needs and ensure that they can have fun and they have success from the session. A session may look very different to each person, and it's important to really take time building that relationship with them. So you build trust with them over the weeks, and you get to know like what they enjoy, and they get to know a bit more than about you as well. If someone is new to a session, they might organise to meet with them beforehand. So the club might organise to get them to come down earlier or on a different day, so they can have a tour and like see what the centre and facility might look like. They can see like what the equipment might look like. They know what the journey is. They know what the parking might be like or where the nearest bus stop is. So that's a really great way of encouraging that inclusion and making people feel comfortable. But it's also about making those connections with each person and always just having a big smile on your face as well.
And how have you been able to cope and deal with the local stakeholders within the disability sector?
Yeah, so we really love to collaborate with organisations and co-create new ideas. That's a really big part of our work. We want to work together. We're all in this sector to promote inclusion, to promote more opportunities for deaf and disabled young people. And so finding different ways to work together is brilliant. Like we always want to ensure that our values align with each other. For example, we've been working with Sense to support a couple of schools with a sensory football offer, and that relationship's expanding as well. So it's really great to hear what others do, but everyone's got really great ideas, and we're able to kind of put our heads together and work, use both our networks and our learnings and experiences to really develop something.
Okay. There's no organization that doesn't face the issue of barriers. So how have you been able to address the issue of barriers in the disability sector in sports?
Yeah, so we want to address all the challenges disabled people face, including within sport, but also listening to disabled people and their families is really important. It helps us understand why they haven't tried particular activities before, why they can't make certain days of the week or times, if things are too expensive, if they've had negative experiences before. It's really important to build those relationships with families and the participants. They give great feedback, and you can then make sure that you can make adaptations and you can change things if necessary. But we've addressed those challenges. So, for example, ensuring that there's a smaller inclusive class, for example, for maybe like with children and young people who might find like various different sensory things quite challenging. So if there's lots of loud noises or there's lots of people, making like a smaller class and just an inclusive specific class has been really beneficial for like groups of children and their families like that. And then we've also like ensured that families can take part together. So there's not a lot of provision that a disabled family can go and do together, like mum or dad might have to go and drop one sibling to one activity and another sibling to another activity, and that puts pressure on time, and there's always somebody that gets dismissed from that. So it's just really important to like create that environment where they can all do the activity together.
And as you work in Access Sports now, what can you say are your strengths and opportunities of your organization, and how have you used them in your favor?
Yeah, so we work in partnership with a lot with other organisations, and co-creating is really key to our work. It's really important to come together in this sector and ensure we're working to promote inclusive opportunities. We also, well, when we work as well, we work from a top-down approach. So we work to address systemic change and policy, but we also work right in the heart of the communities, as I mentioned, like with working with like the participants and the disabled people themselves and the coaches and the volunteers. So yeah, definitely think that they're strengths of the work that we do.
And what can you say your weaknesses and threats are, and how do you address and solve them in terms of your competitors?
Yeah, so we always want to ensure our work is meaningful, that, you know, people really enjoy it, it's sustainable. So we spend time working with the club or the group to establish an offer that we believe will work and, you know, will be long term. We always like reflect on our learnings and we reflect on the work that we do so we can make any changes if necessary. So if something's not quite working, we can, you know, think of ways to adapt or to change and to, you know, to really make sure that it is meaningful.
Okay, enough of all these competitors and talk, and just tell us how to contact you in Access Sports, because it's a great community, yeah. So let others be able to reach you. So how can we contact you?
We're on social media. You can check our website out on accesssport.org.uk. We've, you know, find us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can call us. Or you can give me an email. My email is sophie.epsley@accesssport.co.uk.
Okay. And the last question is, how has your organization been able to cope with pandemic, and how did you deal with it? Since COVID has been here for like 2 years now, since 2020, how have you been able to keep the organization running?
Yeah, so the pandemic's obviously been really difficult for everyone, for people themselves, for various different organizations. It's also presented an opportunity in a way, because you know who really is struggling in that time, you know, who can't access the provision that they used to be able to access. And, you know, it's made us all really more aware of all of those challenges people face. So, you know, particularly for disabled people, you know, feeling quite socially isolated during that time, you know, for many people, they had to shield. They weren't able to really do any physical activity because people may not have had much outdoor space. So our work's been even more needed, you know, during that time. And we established some really innovative ideas. So we had like a wellbeing pack that went out to families, which had some resources with different games and things that families could do together. And we sent equipment with that as well. So it was one way of like being able to like connect and, you know, improve people's mental health and just keep people, you know, active as well. So, I mean, we're still seeing the effects of the pandemic, and we probably will for quite a while, but it's having lots of ways to ensure that we can reach and engage different people, and there's just different things that people can still access and do.
That's a lot. Well, thank you so much for coming here today. Really appreciate it. This is a very good opportunity for you coming. So there you have it, guys. This is Sophie from Access Sport. You can reach her on the website accessport.org.uk and the email sophie.epsley@access.co.uk. So thank you so much and have a lovely week.